I'm taking a walk in my woods today, and when I say my woods, I mean that there are about 4 to 5 miles of trails in my neighborhood. We're extremely lucky to have this. There are many streams, as you can see here, vernal pools where amphibians breed and all kinds of other cool wildlife here on the East Coast. In the Mid-Atlantic is kind of where I live. Now, strangely enough, when I was a kid, I grew up about 5 miles from here, there would be all kinds of salamanders, spotted salamanders, red salamanders, everything, marbled. But today there's hardly any, only a few eastern redbacks is the only thing I find. So today I'm on a mission to see if I can actually find a couple. If not, then I'll show you some cool frogs and some toads, hopefully, in a vernal pool. But anyways, stay tuned. Let's check it out. Well, first salamander, like I said, a redback, which is awesome. Really nice specimen. These are pretty common around here, probably, in my opinion, the most common. As you can see, he's pretty long. He's about 4 or 5 inches, but really cool animal. I don't want to disturb him too much here. I'm just gonna pick him up for a second so I can wet my hands so I can move him away. Okay, oops. There we go. Got him. I'm gonna move the log back because that's what you're supposed to do. And I'm gonna put him back where I found him in a second, but it's really cool. Really love these guys. I was actually thinking of doing, I'm gonna let him go, but thinking of doing a local biotope where I live and maybe having some of those guys. And the only problem is I don't think anybody breeds them, so I would have to take it out of the wild, which I'm allowed to, but I'm not really crazy about. But anyway, salamander number 1, redback. Check it off. Oh, 2 seconds later, another nice, great looking redback specimen. I'll let this one get back to whatever he's doing. Hey, just for what's and giggles, some really nice moss right here. Look at this. Might take some of that. It's really nice. Really good looking moss there. So it's weird, this area that I'm going to show you here, it looks like it would be perfect habitat for a salamander. Marshy, streams, there's some seeps even. I don't live near the mountains. I mean, I'm like a couple hours from the mountains, I guess, maybe like an hour and a half. So it's pretty flat where I live, but when I was a kid, these areas were just filled with salamanders, like spotted, marbled, red. So both, lung salamanders and lungless salamanders. When I was a kid, we would find them all over the place. Mud salamanders. Since I've been back here in this area, I haven't found anything except redbacks. It's crazy. I've had to drive either really far south or go into the mountains, and it's really unfortunate. I don't know if it's the iron content in the water. As you can see, it's a little orangey. It gets a lot worse than that. There's some spots where it's like there's a lot of iron. I don't know that that's necessarily affects them because I see a lot of frogs and, they're amphibians as well living in it. So there's also a lot of neighborhoods around here, even though this area is pretty much untouched. It's septic. So I don't know if the septic runoff has something to do with it, but it's kind of unfortunate because these woods, like you can see through there a little bit. There was there's vernal pools right over there, big ones. I'm about to walk over there. There's several really cool ones in here that I'll show you, but and I've got my hump boots on, so I can get in a little bit, but they go pretty deep, 3-4 feet, so I'm not gonna wade in there up to my waist. But anyhow, it's kind of unfortunate though that it's not like it used to be. There was a lot of salamander diversity. I'm definitely encouraged that I've seen some redbacks, but salamanders are a great indicator species because they'll tell you how the environment is. And so I'm just going to keep looking, and hopefully we can find more that would really, make me feel a little bit better about this area where I live. But I think that's just really overdevelopment and stuff. So let's check it out. Let's check out these pools. So here's one of the pools here. This is a vernal pool. Typically you would find spotted salamanders and all kinds of other stuff living in here. The water's pretty actually deep, believe it or not, so I gotta be careful. But look at all this algae. It's kind of disgusting. Too many nutrients, I guess, huh? But I'm gonna try to find some egg masses or some larval platforms. I've seen some things swimming around. I'm pretty sure they're just frogs, but I'll take a dip with the net and let's see what we can come up with. I mean, if you like moss, I mean, look at this. There's a centipede right there. But look at this. Look at this moss on this tree. Unbelievable. I mean, there's so much moss around here, it's insane. It's like everywhere. Everywhere you look, I mean, trees, the bases of every tree is just growing with moss. It's insane. This is actually great. I might get a little bit today and quarantine it for a bit and use it in future builds. So this is the other vernal pool I was going to tell you about. It's pretty big, deep. You can't see in there. It's a weird glare, you can, as you can see, but I just dunked this thing in and there are tons of tadpoles. Look at these. I think these are probably green frog or pickerel frog tadpoles, but tons of them. There's probably millions of them in there, literally. Anyways, things are in full swing. I don't see any egg masses for salamanders, unfortunately, but at least the frog population and toad population seems to be doing well. Really cool, though. I was trying to catch one of these pickerel frogs and I ended up catching a crayfish. I didn't even know they lived here. Look at that thing. Clear it up a little bit. Pretty big. All right, well, so finished for the day. I was down there about 4 hours. I must have flipped 60 logs. I didn't find any other salamanders other than just tons of redbacks. Both the kind that look bluish and the kind that are just with the redback. And that was it from salamanders. Saw pickerel frogs, saw green frogs, saw a couple toads. I think the same species. I think I'd have to look honestly to see what species of toad it is, but I didn't even catch them. They were just too hard. I tried to catch some of the frogs a few times, dipped the net in the vernal pool, didn't really get anything except tadpoles, and so that's kind of all that it was, and that's really why I wanted to film this today. One is just to show you the vernal pools. That's typically where usually there's salamander eggs, there's frog eggs. Amphibian season is in full swing right now. It is nice to know that there is still a handful of amphibians that live around here, but I am a little concerned that there's not more diversity in salamanders, but I don't know. It could just be the overdevelopment. I'm not really sure. Another thing I wanted to show you guys was where I kept my moss, because everybody asks. My house is essentially just like this in terms of the trees and everything, so there's just tons of moss. I mean, I could take moss all day, and the next day I'd wake up and it would all be grown back. So I get a lot of my moss from places like this, similar places, and yeah, so really one cool thing I wanted to mention is that I'm actually redoing my barred tiger salamander enclosure. It's a 40-gallon breeder. There's 2 of them in it. I was going to put them in a bigger enclosure, but I decided not to. And so I had several hours while the dry lock and the Quikrete was drying. So I came out here and filmed this. Wanted to upload something, just again, like given the time of year it is, and hopefully could have gotten some better diversity with salamanders, so sorry about that, but hopefully you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for a DIY build, a rebuild I should say, on my tiger salamander enclosure. And also stay tuned because I am really close. My animal room is pretty much done. Once I finish the tiger salamander one, I'm going to upload a video for my animal room, and I have 5 empty spots for new enclosures, so I would love to hear what you guys want me to keep. I do want to stick with North American species. A lot of people are like, oh, you should get a fire belly, newt, or toad, or whatever. And I had them when I was younger. I love them, but I really just right now I'm into North American species, so I'm going to kind of hold everything for that. But yeah, stay tuned for that stuff, and appreciate you guys tuning in.